Most people treat disrespect like something to absorb, explain, or laugh off. Wise people recognize it for what it is: a test of boundaries. The moment you keep staying soft in the face of disrespect, you teach people they can keep going. And the more you reward it with silence, over-explaining, or nervous laughter, the stronger it gets. That is how respect disappears quietly. Disrespect is not just a moment, it is a signal. It shows you whether the other person thinks your standards can be crossed. Today I'm giving you one phrase that stops the dynamic without turning you into a louder version of them. And most people never realize how quickly a room learns what it can get away with. If you want to be respected, you have to make disrespect expensive. And the phrase is simpler than you think. Disrespect works on people who react because it usually finds a crack first. Uncertainty, emotional leakage, a lack of boundaries. Reaction versus control, ego versus restraint. It shows up as sarcasm, dismissive tone, interruptions, subtle humiliation, or jokes that are not jokes at all. But the point is rarely the words themselves. The point is to move you out of position. Most people never realize that disrespect is often a test, a way to see whether you will defend your place or surrender it. Stoicism teaches that not every behavior deserves your compliance. You do not have to absorb a bad tone as if it is harmless. The hidden cost of reacting emotionally is that you become easy to steer, easy to bait, and easy to discount. And when disrespect is not confronted clearly, it becomes a pattern. The answer is simple, but only if it is spoken once and backed by composure. The one phrase is, "Do not speak to me like that." Clarity versus drama. Restraint versus reaction. This phrase does not attack, explain, or beg. It names the boundary instantly. It tells the other person the line has been crossed and the tone must change. And that is what makes it powerful. Most people never realize how much power they lose by waiting too long to say what should have been said immediately. They let the moment pass, then wonder why the disrespect repeats. Stoicism teaches that dignity does not need a speech. It needs a standard. The hidden strength of this phrase is that it is calm enough to be respected and firm enough to be felt. No shouting, no performance, no emotional collapse, just a clean boundary. Once the phrase is spoken, your next move determines whether the boundary stands or becomes a suggestion. After you say it, do not keep talking over it. Calm stillness versus emotional collapse. Silence versus surrender. The power of the phrase multiplies when it is followed by a pause, steady eye contact, and then a return to normal only if respect returns. That pause matters because it shows you are not rattled, not apologizing, and not chasing approval. Most people never realize that saying the right words and then rambling afterward destroys the effect. Stoicism teaches that control is not just speech. It is timing, posture, and refusal to be pulled off center. The hidden cost of rushing to keep the peace is that you teach people they can cross the line and still control the interaction. This is not a performance. It is a signal that disrespect will not be met with panic. And if the disrespect continues, the boundary has to become even clearer. If the disrespect continues, the boundary has to become more direct. You can repeat the same phrase or move to a firmer line like, "I'm ending this conversation if that continues." Directness versus hesitation. Respect versus testing. Repetition matters because people often push when they sense uncertainty. Most people never realize how much space they surrender by softening every boundary until it disappears. They say it too lightly, too vaguely, too late, and then the disrespect keeps going. Stoicism values directness without ego, and this is what that looks like in conversation. The hidden cost of staying quiet through repeated disrespect is that your standards begin to lose weight in your own mind. You start acting like the line can be crossed if the other person insists long enough. Composure is not passivity, it is consistency. And the next phrase is not about fighting for control. It is about protecting your peace from turning into a public scene. The goal is not to become louder. It is to become impossible to dismiss. Slower speech, shorter sentences, calm posture, and refusing to chase the other person's emotional pace. Pace versus pressure. Calm timing versus emotional reaction. High-status communication is often slow, clear, and hard to push around because it carries weight. Most people never realize that when they stop racing to defend themselves, they start leading the moment. Stoicism teaches that timing is part of control. The hidden cost of speaking too fast is that others start treating your words like they are optional noise. But when you speak with patience, your words land harder. Calm authority is not a personality trait, it is a skill. And the phrase works because it comes from a person who has learned to govern their voice and protect their standard without needing to raise it. The goal is not to become cold. It is to become impossible to dismiss. A person who speaks with calm authority becomes rare, and rarity creates respect. This phrase works because it comes from self-respect, not performance. A Stoic person does not fight for attention. They hold their place with composure. They do not shrink when disrespected, and they do not overcorrect with anger. They simply keep their voice steady and their standards visible. That is what changes how people treat them. Remember this: when your standards are calm, disrespect becomes impossible to ignore. If this spoke to you, comment whether you would use this phrase, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom, and keep building the kind of presence that cannot be casually disrespected.